we have in New Jersey is called an SGO. And with SGOs, student growth objectives, every teacher in the state of New Jersey, I forget how many that is, but it's tens of thousands, had to create student growth objectives for each different class that they taught and show where the kids were in the beginning of the year and the end of the year using statistical data with spreadsheets, with formulas, and then make a prediction of how many of their kids would reach this tier, and this tier. Come on. And originally, we had to send them all to the state as if somebody were going to look at 10,000 teachers times how many classes they had. So we found out very quickly that it was a mess and the results were going nowhere. And teachers, by their nature, are self-reflective. If you want to know how my kids are doing, ask me.
Yeah.
Don't make me fill out 5 pages of an Excel spreadsheet with 5 tiers and formulas that have to be plugged in.
Yeah. That's why. Now, was this in addition to doing standardized testing?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Because I could almost see somebody sitting there being like, we want to get rid of standardized tests. So this is what we're going to do instead to provide alternate data. But that is brutal to be spending time on standardized testing and then also that extra level of. So how did he take that over?
Well, he came up with district student growth objectives. And so with these, we were able to say all of us are going to work on this goal. So it wasn't Jessica in her AP language class is going to work on this. And then in her basic skills class is going to work on this. And then in her reading the movies class is going to work on this. And then in her honors class, I had 4 preps.
Yeah.
So that's 4 different sets of data. And he said, no, the whole district is going to work on this goal and this goal. And here's how it's going to be measured. And the form, I will submit them all for you. Done. Literally 5 minutes.
Gosh, that's awesome. That is so
It can
great.
be done. And guess what? We as teachers then have buy-in to whatever he wants us to do because we trust him and we know that he understands and remembers what it's like to be a teacher and be overwhelmed by all the tasks of teaching. And the fact that he values us enough to say, I'm going to take this off your plate because you can work on teaching things instead of this. We were floored.
Right. Now, this was the superintendent, you said?
Assistant superintendent.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Now, so he had actually been a teacher before for, I'm guessing,
at least a principal, and then worked for the Department of Education. So he knew that this data went nowhere.
Right. Well, and that's the thing that always kills me is like that we've got all of this data collection and all of that. And I remember so many meetings at the beginning of the year, you know, they would always be talking about, here's the data we want to hit, here's all the things we want to do. And like, you know, as a professor, right, like I know why they eventually want it. And it's not really about evaluating, it's like evaluating the schools, right? It's to see, is this school effective? But standardized testing is not the best way to see that, nor is it the best predictor of student outcomes. Like, I can't remember where I terrible not citing my sources, but I did read recently that the best predictor of student success is actually the students' grades and the teacher's feedback, because it's more than just can you do well on a test, how you're going to do in college, you know, like it's not one-to-one at all. I was a terrible test taker. And I was also a very average, very average student across the board, a little below average, but later when I got motivated and stuff like that, I was far more successful. But it's this insane obsession that well, if we have data to back it up, that's going to improve outcomes. And that's not true.
Ever. Because I've always said about standardized testing, even when my kids take the AP test, I said, if you do well or if you do poorly, it's a 3-hour snapshot of one day.
Yeah.
And we don't know what happened to you the night before or what happened that morning. We don't know if you had a full stomach as you were going in, or you didn't get sleep because you worked the night before. And also with standardized tests, students know that it doesn't affect them in any way. So I've monitored tests where I've watched kids click, 5 minutes done.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then we're supposed to be accountable for that student
for that data.
Who didn't care. Can you take my, qualitative analysis of the fact that 5 kids put their heads down after 5 minutes? Can I add that as an addendum to
Yeah.
the scores.
Honestly, which they don't, of course. Like
No, no.
they will take into account if like a phone goes off or if there's a fire alarm or there's something like that. Then you have to throw out the whole test and everyone has to retest. But
Right.
like the teacher being like, "Hey, Sally sat there and fell asleep on her keyboard halfway through. Maybe let's not use her data." Like
Right. Why is there not a form for that? While
there
we're
should be.
watching, because we have to be present and circling the entire time.
The
Or in New Jersey, if there is a breach, your license can be taken away. I'm
is
like,
so
why? What are
insane.
you doing? What is happening?
Thank you so much for watching. Want more of those who can't do in your life? Well, you can watch the full episode right now. Just click on that little box over there. You see it? Right down there? There it is. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.